Sup, Red Ninja. All right, so let's do some testing. I got a few different combos and a few different parts from Blade Kid, and I had a chance to test Has Kick, and then my video died. So I was like, also let me know if my sound sucks. I'm gonna try to turn the mic up a little bit. But basically, my video died like halfway through filming the Has Kick video. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do a live stream. It's going to be a lot easier than trying to like test things and edit things. And I'm too lazy for all of that. So I think I'm still going to start with Has Kick. I'm probably just going to redo a lot of the stuff that I was running before. I'm also going to try to keep an eye on this chat. Base Kid, lol. All right. So what I did notice since the last time that I tried to run like a short video on Has Kick is that honestly, heavy makes a massive difference. And you're going to be able to see that today also with my beautiful new stadium that I literally opened just for this video. Okay, so the first thing that I want to test is probably going to be a staller. And the reason I want to test a staller is because oftentimes with something that's kind of like cone shaped, I'm usually going to want to try to outstall it first and then probably go up against it with some actual, more confrontational stamina types. So I think for starters, let's switch it up a little bit. I'm going to try using Yegdrion. I'm going to use Yell, and I'm also going to put Assault on there, and I'm going to use the new Hasbro Assault just because I really like that. It's honestly kind of underrated. Like I'm probably going to use it in my next tournament. I never thought it was very good, but it's fairly solid. Just got Premier Pro. Yeah, nope, I'm too lazy for that. All right, let me know how that sound is too. Ooh, the video quality is so crisp. Beautiful. All right, so I've already got a few spoilers for you. Basically, the stallers don't really work. I saw that in the video that I recorded that then kind of got deleted. Still going to try them just so you can see them. The next thing I'm going to want to try after stallers. Yep. And, it's going to be kind of similar depending on, regardless of the layer. I tried a few different combinations. Love me some Yegdrion. The camera is a Logitech Brio. It's a 4K camera that I use for work. So next, I'm going to use Kerbeus, my favorite. Honestly, not the best for stamina, but unfortunately, I don't have two Anubions. So, we got to make do with what we've got. And I'm going to do my classic Liner S. I really like this combo. Usually I'll put on Gravity, but maybe we'll switch it up. I'll start with Knuckle and then maybe put it on Gravity after. The reason I like this is because it's really one of those combos that has all of its points in stamina and not very much in LAD. It is semi-decent for defense, surprisingly, and part of that I think is just due to the kind of the layer material. It's a little bit harder than a lot of the other sort of classic era layers from Hasbro, like a Doom Sizer D2. It's going to be like a little bit of a softer plastic. Oh, let's reach that. Yeah, I feel like I still haven't found the best launcher for this kind of stuff. I'm going to try to move my mic a little closer to me so it's not just the Beyblade sounds. All right, let's try that again with Gravity. Gravity is definitely better than Knuckle. Still kind of surprising that it wasn't able to win that. Is my mic really bad? Like, how is it? I wouldn't know. right, you know what? I'm just going to swap to this launcher. Oh, and that gets stuck too. Fun. Lapel could be better. Yeah, sorry, we're not going for high quality here, unfortunately. For my like 2 live streams a year max. All right, so Kerbeus was able to win by a hair. Again, super close. Honestly, it just kind of goes to show that the heavy really makes a pretty big difference here. The next thing I'm going to want to try is Survive S. I don't get the DB launcher. Well, yeah, I do have my DB launcher here. Maybe you'll be able to see it on my nice 4K video. But really what I've been trying to kind of explain, and this is in left spin, so I'm going to have to swap it, is that the launcher string just gets stuck in the Beyblade as I'm launching it. I think because it's so long, and also because the way I pull, I kind of just let go. Okay, it didn't happen that time, but still, it happens too often that I feel like someone could call me out and not let me reshoot, and that's the last thing I want to happen. All right, yeah, so Survive S, another spoiler. I think this works on certain combos. Again, like keep in mind that if we were using a newbie on A2 on both of them, this combo would do a little better. You know, in fact, maybe for the sake of it, I'm just going to swap to 2 D2s just because that's one of the few like competitive stand layers that I have 2 of with Hasbro. I also have 2 G2s, but no one wants to see that. Kerbeus I like because it's a little better for defense. I mean, in this case, it doesn't really matter because the trade-off isn't worth it for stamina. But so that's kind of why I'm trying to use a few different layers. Also, it's just Kerbeus. Kerbeus is fun. It's kind of a little bit of a meme. Yeah, I know. I wish I had something better. I do have 2 Y2s, but I don't know that that's going to be much better. The thing is, both of them do get destabilized. You know, generally, even when I put Kerbeus on this, Survive S does typically win the matchup. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have. Used Y2 for liner. I actually really like Y2 too. I think it, or Y1, Yegdrion. I think it might be a little better than Kerbeus. Definitely better for stamina. It's not quite as tight though on my liner. Or Y1. Okay, but if you mean Y2 for this combo, you can try that for sure. And of course, I'll also do like the classic Odin heavy defense, Neptune heavy revolver, knuckle revolver, whatever. I know that they're both going to lose to this combo, but it's kind of worth it just to show. Yeah, I'll start to get out the Odin combo while we're doing this. So you got your classic Odin heavy defense. I think this is my better defense. When I tested this before, Odin heavy defense actually got, oh wow. So that's actually a pretty significant difference. Let me try that one more time, see if we get the same results. I also wonder if it has to do with gravity, but then again, gravity did do better on liner than Knuckle did. Who knows? Usually I would expect Survive S to win a matchup like this just because it tends to do pretty well against cone types. But again, it gets destabilized. a little easier than liner, so this isn't particularly surprising. Yeah, that's pretty significant. That's kind of interesting. Nubion TTD to things to banworthy. I would say, yeah, yes and no. At the same time, I don't really see many people using TTD2. I don't know if that's simply because most people don't have it. I also haven't really tested it quite as much as I should have, but I do think that Anubis is still better for sure. All right, so I'm gonna switch back to Anubion, and we're gonna run the classic pun intended matchups. Like I was saying before, I interrupted myself. This combo actually got bursted by this last time I tested, so I did swap to my slightly tighter defense. You know what? I'll even swap layers just so that we can ensure that that doesn't happen. I still don't have a particularly tight Odin, but Odin in general is fairly tight, so it would be kind of surprising if it bursted. Okay, we'll just redo that. Is the audio cutting out for anyone else? Let me know in the comments below. All right, yeah, that's pretty rough. And we also get 2 clicks on Odin. We got 2 clicks last time too with that snipe. For what it's worth, I know that if we repeat this matchup, we're going to get a similar result. So, okay, thanks, Burrito. So I'm going to try Neptune. We'll do Neptune, Knuckle Revolve. And I'm going to use one of my tighter revolves just because, you know, that's important. I honestly wouldn't expect Revolve Dash to be much tighter than the most recent Revolve molds just because they've been so tight. Like, they might as well be Dash drivers at this point. Wonder if I can get this. Oh, hey, there we go. Maybe. Yeah, it's a little better. Okay. Again, exactly what we expected. I think we definitely see that this combo is extremely strong, very strong against most stamina. The fact that it loses to liner really isn't very significant because liner is one of the best stamina types. And again, there are a lot of downsides to that. So the fact that it's able to beat a lot of other more, you know, I guess less viable drivers, things like Survive S, which I would still consider to be competitive, just a little bit more niche, definitely means that things like this, for example, could potentially be outclassed with something like Hasbro Kick. If I angle it down a little bit, I don't know that that makes a huge difference. I mean, is that better? Do you guys like that more? It's like a little bit too short, I know. Let me prop it up a tiny bit. There we go. Okay. That should be better for sure. I think that's the best I can do though. So wait, one more book. Okay, there we go. Cool. So things. My main thing is that Haskick is super susceptible to destabilization. It is very susceptible to destabilization. I'm going to test a few attack types. I know that specifically Blade Kid mentioned that it's defense. is sort of an issue. So I want to try a few different types of attack. And I'm going to run some of the stuff, bringing out the books. Yeah, all the books. Honestly, this is definitely a better view, so hopefully it's worth it. I'm going to run a few different types of attack. The first one that I'm going to run is a little throwback to the LA Classic tournament where we saw Zio sort of run just this combo, and it was incredibly potent both for KO attack and burst attack. Really, the launch is pretty important here because if you don't launch it at enough of an angle, not too much that it's scraping, which can be kind of difficult to do, but enough that it doesn't kind of tornado stall. So hopefully we'll be able to do that a few times. I'm going to launch hard for now and weak launch if it seems like it's needed. All right, we got a double burst. That is not surprising to me. What I've found so far in my testing is that the only time that this combo is going to burst is if it's a double burst. So take that for what it's worth. Got that burst nice up and close too. Yeah, I honestly, the difference between gravity and heavy is so significant. It's honestly surprising. I really haven't seen many combos where, the difference of like two top tier discs can determine entire matchups. Let's launch a little bit weaker, but not too much. This is also a combo that has some semi-decent stamina, so we don't want to launch too light. All right, got a bunch of good hits on that, but it's about halfway on the slopes. But we've also got 3 clicks on Valkyrie, so that's pretty significant. Let's try. You know what? Since I got this nice new Hasbro Quick Dash, let's use that. And I'll probably switch back to V2 at some point, but just to keep things kind of spicy, I'm going to use I2. It's actually pretty decent for KO attack. All right, that was a terrible launch. Oof. All right, let's try that again. Dang, I almost launched a little too weak there. Let's go. Let's see. Let's go Q2, just to keep it kind of spicy. All right, that definitely doesn't count. That was a little bit of a snipe. Lol. Okay. Try that again. Yeah, it's got pretty surprisingly good KO defense. Again, 1, 2, 3 clicks. Go to V2. I really like this Hasbro Quick Dash, by the way. The rubber's really nice and honestly pretty much equivalent to TT, if not a little bit softer. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to want to test, and I'm not going to do this too much because I really don't want to use Valkyrie more than I have to, is Valkyrie on, let me get one of my Valkyries that are worn but not too worn. They'll burst. This is the original Valkyrie. It's the one that came with the Start Dash set. So I'll use Valkyrie, Heavy, and Trans Dash. Yeah, I'll try. Let's try V2 Quick Dash real quick. Swap it out for one of my heavies. It got oh my god! All right, so it got a good hit in there, but V2 actually bursted before A2 did. All right, this is pretty concerning at this point. Easy to beat with V2. I don't know about that, fam. V2 just got bursted. All right, let's try this real quick. If it bursts, I'll switch to a Valkyrie that isn't worn and just know that it's because this Valkyrie is a bit worn. I'm going to put it in full stamina stationary mode. So we're really going for the burst attack here. And we do have to launch kind of hard so that it doesn't get outspun. So this combo is kind of fun because it has the potential to either burst you or outspin you if you don't launch hard enough. It's sort of like a catch-22 there. That being said, yeah, you definitely see the destabilization here. Yeah, there you go. So even though it definitely destabilizes less with heavy, 2 clicks. It still gets destabilized. And especially if you have to launch hard. Let's do one more time. Yeah, no, V2 is great. It's honestly one of my favorite layers in Classic, and I think for pretty good reason. All right, so, a Nubion is really able to outspin this combo. Honestly, there isn't very much that I would consider a direct counter to this, aside from really just going liner or, I guess some KO attack, depending. And again, it's kind of hard to test it because I'm one person. KOs definitely hit a little better, but at the same time, you can't exactly avoid it when it's one person. Drigger S Orbit. Can do that real quick. That's this guy, right? Or is that Drigger F? I always get them confused. This is the only one I have because it's the good one. Yeah. All right, cool. It's like if it were not the good one. Let's do Orbit. And Orbit or Metal. I'll use Orbit, I guess. Waiting on chat. Okay. I don't like Orbit that much, honestly, because, this is a pretty tight layer on something like Revolve, but I normally probably wouldn't use Trigger on Orbit in first stage, personally, just because it feels fairly easily burstable, which is normally not what I'm using that layer for. Yeah, I feel like for this specifically, Orbit probably makes more sense than Orbit Metal. I don't know. It's going to be close. And we'll play it back one more time, just in case. All right, there you go. Good Orbit staying upright. Did get one click on it. I've got the black trigger too, so normally that mold is really tight, so I'm not really sure what the deal is with it feeling kind of loose on Orbit. I did launch a little bit harder this time just to kind of simulate how this matchup would probably go, and that time a Nubion wins. So not sure what to make of that. That is 2 clicks too, so I don't know that I would use this over Revolve, honestly. A2 looks. I don't think I have to worry about A2 looking wobbly. It seems to be winning its fair share. I will. If you want, I can. I mean, I'm going to switch to a different combo now for the sake of time. I normally when I try to test things for whether or not they're OP, the way that I like to think about it is if I can use things that I would normally use in the first stage that aren't particularly niche, that counter it pretty easily, that I'm not super concerned. If I feel like I have to go out of my way to use something that I don't think I would use for any other reason, specifically for that combo, then I start to get a little bit concerned, especially if that combo is one of the few things that it beats. Not that that's necessarily the case with the trigger combo, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking about more generally. Okay, so I guess the next thing we can test, I feel like we've done our fair share of like high extend plus testing. So maybe we'll go with yard dash. I know, let's see, Blade Kid mentioned yard on D2. So yard D2 and either heavy or polish. Since I have a polish and I know that not many other people have it, I'll test on polish just for the sake of it. For starters, this is super tight. Like, oh my god, this is literally unburstable. I don't know how good it's going to be, but it's just at a glance, it's really really tight. I guess so. The way that Blade Kid is pitching this to me is that it works on all of the combos that Orbit would, but it basically outclasses Neptune because the dash part makes Neptune not worth it because, you know, for Neptune, it's a bit of a, you're using it for the burst resistance instead of like a D1 or a D2. So it's definitely outclassing that as well as Orbit. All right, so he said he went uncountered during an entire first stage with that A2 combo. D2 and honestly, Drigger S. I don't know. I mean, I'll just test D2 because I feel like I do enough testing with Drigger. I guess the first thing that I'll run, you know, speaking of Drigger, is Drigger Heavy Revolve. You know, it's a classic, another first stage staple. Let's see how that does against this combo. Oof. All right, that loses pretty easily. I'm not super concerned, and I do feel like polish is honestly part of the reason. I'm not sure that I really like polish on this combo. So just for that, I'm going to, you know, I can swap to heavy. I think I might also like yell on this, so maybe I'll use again like super tight. But if it loses to meta stamina, then I'm not super concerned. Definitely seems like this is a little better. Yeah, like I really don't like polish for this combo. That being said, 1 click on trigger, 0 clicks. It did definitely outspin the D2. All right, yeah, I'll keep that there. Okay, maybe try heavy. I'm on heavy right now. That's why I swapped to heavy from polish. I'm gonna try it on yell though, just to see if that makes it any better. But right now, I mean, you know what? I'll try it on yell, and I'll also swap to, let's do knuckle Neptune. Just to keep it meta. All right, not very seasoned launches. I'll probably want to redo that. I actually did try polish, and it didn't do very well. Heavy did significantly better on this combo. All right, Neptune wins by a little, but like I said, I'm going to redo that again. This time, just launching Neptune first. Hello, chat. Oh my god, that's wild. You know, what I could see Yard Dash being kind of fun on, and what could kind of be a good asset to the format would be maybe like a V2. I've used V2 on Yard S before, specifically for its burst resistance. All right, there we go. That's better. And I do kind of like yell on this. I like some of those lower to the ground combos. Thank you. Very nice 4K camera, I know. So that's Neptune. Let's stick with this same setup and go back to Drigger. I think Drigger's a little better, honestly. I think the other risk that you run with Yard is that, from what I can see just in these tests, it seems like you kind of have to launch a certain way in order to prevent it from just like self-KOing if you yeet. Like, keep in mind, I'm also using this launcher, but if you're using a DB launcher, I feel like you could kind of have some of the same issues that you're seeing. Oh, hello. Okay, so looks like that actually makes a pretty big difference. Maybe it's the bounce tune on the D2. I don't think so. I really do think that the disc makes a pretty big difference here. I mean, the difference between this and polish is pretty significant. I feel like, with yell being heavy. I don't know. I feel like it's doing pretty well. I mean, I can go back to polish and can see what that looks like. Then the only thing that would have changed from the first matchup would have been knuckle instead of heavy, which, you know, honestly, probably want to use heavy on this combo. These launchers are the worst. Yeah, it does seem a little unstable. I feel like part of that is just Yard, though. Let's run it again. I kind of launched D2 pretty late. And then this will be my last one for that setup. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, it could have been. Definitely. I mean, especially if this loses, but I really don't. Yeah, like I really don't like polish because it's scraping so much. It's so low to the ground. Like, you're constantly making contact with the stadium, and that's not ideal for same spin. I'm gonna just, I'm gonna go back to yell because I do think it makes this a pretty strong combo, and I don't know you know, we did a little revolve. I guess the other thing we can test is some orbit, or, you know, we could always go back to the classic Odin heavy defense. Let's go Odin heavy defense. Use my slightly tighter defense. I would expect, oof, yeah, sorry, it's all over the place. I would expect Odin to win this matchup. I mean, there's really no way that like a yard or a defense, the yard or an orbit could win this matchup against defense. But I'll run it again right after. I am kind of surprised just by how upright this combo is staying. Like normally I don't really see that from defense. Again, won by a tiny bit. Let's run it back and see if anything changes. Try to beg that a little better. Yeah, the polish that I use is my Takara Tomy. It's specifically the heaviest one I have, so that's why I use it. And it also seems to have a little better LAD. Yeah, that's even by less. One click. Yeah, so I'm not really concerned about yard right now. I definitely had more concerns about has kick. Of course, we still have to test against some attacks, so let's run that right now. Yeah, I mean, but also, as we saw in the last matchup, like the fact that we're using defense doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to win. Let's see. Like, I think I'm more concerned when a specific driver ends up being a little game breaking. Right now, I'm not necessarily. I mean, I guess you could say that Neptune could see less use because of this, and I think that's to your point, Blake Kid. But I'm not really concerned right now. I think this could unlock some kind of interesting setups, especially with sort of like a more stationary, so to speak, attacker. Like I could see myself using this driver almost more so on attack than stamina, or at least at an equal rate. But let's try that out once I've tried this against some attack. Medium launch. And again, if it bursts, I will reshoot. Also, terrible launch, so we'll rerun that too. I'm going to try a different launcher after this. Yeah, it's not exactly balanced, but again, I feel like part of that has to do with yard getting very easily unbalanced. Oh my god. I'm also going to try a variable just for, given my position, it's kind of hard to, to launch attack because I'm also trying not to be in the camera, so. I'm not really concerned about it being hard to burst as long as there are enough trade-offs. So I think we still have to see what those trade-offs could be. Oof. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's try that one more time. We got one click. I don't have just dash, sorry. Oof. Launch this a little harder. Yeah, it's not going to burst. I think your best bet is. I mean, let me launch one more time, launching both of them at full power and just see what happens. Oh, I guess I don't need to. Yeah. Huh. All right. So to test the one thing that I did want to test, I'm kind of curious how this holds up, and I feel like it could be kind of interesting too, as sort of like I'll try a V2 on yard, and then I'll also try V or Valkyrie. Feels weird to say V on yard. I'm just kind of curious how that performs, and assuming that we're in a meta where Has Kick is banned, I'm just going to use some of the classic stuff. If it bursts, I will launch weaker. Ooh. Oh my god. I kind of like this. All right, there we go. Got a nice burst and one click. That's kind of a fun stationary attacker. I really like that. So launched a little bit weaker. My bet is that V2 is going to be able to outspin it. Yeah, I don't want to test V1 unless we have to. And honestly, this is a pretty fun combo. I really like this. Just for the hell of it, let's really quickly run. Where is my A2? Let's run A2 on that heavy kick combo just to see how it does against this, because it's kind of fun. I2. You want me to run I2 on yard? Yeah, I can do that. Where did I put my I2 though? Oh, there we go. I like I2 more as like a KO attacker, but we can see how this does. Why not? And I'll launch harder if it doesn't burst. And we know it's probably not going to burst. So. Oh, hello. All right, let's launch harder. Ooh. Oh my god, I'm like trying to launch too hard and the recoil is just insane. I'm also going to try V2 on yard against this combo. I'm curious, like, I don't expect it to be able to get KOs, but it would be kind of fun if it did. Use the bullet. I'll use the bullet combo later. I mean, I don't need to use the bullet combo. Nothing that's broken is attack related. Bullet combo fun though. Yeah, nope. Basically, my takeaways so far, and like, if you guys are coming in later, you'll see some of this later on. But honestly, I'm a lot more concerned about Has Kick than I am Yard, just kind of based off of what it's about. Like, this is not something that you would be using on an attacker, really anything other than a pure stamina type. It's not that it's unbeatable at all, but there are definitely some very optimized and powerful setups. I think the next thing that I'm going to want to test in the interest of time is that what the heck? Where is it? Now I can't find it. Hang on. All right, well, I can't find that, so I'm gonna just test this boy. So your zone dash plus Z with the has, or plus has Z, I guess. Zone dash plus Z plus has whatever. Let's try that on basically the same combo, but TT. Surprise, surprise. It looks very weird. Let's start by just doing that classic trigger heavy revolve, if I can find it. Let me use one of the tight revolves. Found my wedge, by the way. So those next tech things will be coming right up. All right. Wow, that's actually kind of disturbing. I do want to compare that to the TT version, just so we can see kind of whether or not because I know with the TT one, I never really saw it as problematic at all. It's really only now that we have the Hasbro Z chip. So just to replay that with what that would look like on the Hasbro chip. Wow, did you just change your profile picture? Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah, so I was going to say that it looks like this is equally viable. I guess not. It kind of like, it has like very little life after death compared to the Hasbro version. Seems like the Hasbro chip is definitely more problematic. So we know that it beats Revolve on Trigger. Let's see if it beats Revolve on Neptune. I'll use that knuckle combo, so I've already got that ready made. Yeah, that stamina is just insane. I don't like that at all. So the next thing, oh my God, look, I'm just going to let it go. The next thing that my mind goes to is, all right, we know that it beats Revolve, but what about Orbit? And to demonstrate this, I'll go back to that combo that Broito recommended to me, that Trigger Heavy Orbit. Look at it, it's still going. I'm just going to stop it. I'm going to launch hard just to see if I can get this thing to burst it. The other thing that's really interesting to me is just given how light these combos are, we actually get to see Zone staying in the center. It doesn't really move at all. All right, so it does get desliced. Yeah, that gets destabilized very easily. Not super concerned about Orbit. Let's try Defense too, just for the hell of it. I wanna run the gamut because really, if the only thing this is outclassing is Revolve and it's kind of just replacing one driver for another, then I'm not very concerned. But if it ends up replacing more than one driver and really undercutting a lot of other combos, then I might be a little bit more concerned. We could maybe also see some interesting dynamics with Revolve Dash there if Zone Dash ends up, sticking around. just grabbing myself another drink as we do this. All right, so another combo that, you know, I am a little concerned about it just because that gave us 3 clicks on Odin. I'd say it's definitely borderline. I'm not, and of course, I haven't tested that much yet, so we'll stick around and see. Yes, it's replacing Revolve, but it doesn't burst. But then again, if we do allow Revolve Dash in the meta, also Revolve itself doesn't burst too much with the new molds. So I think, like I said, I think we'll have to wait and see. But I think that there won't be much of a difference between the basically unburstable Revolve molds that have come out recently and the Revolve Dash. I think it's, yeah, you know, I think it's really borderline right now. Keep in mind that if the ball tips are the ones, oh, by the way, that actually got a click. Not that I think it would ever burst. If the ball tips are the ones that do counter this, it could be kind of interesting because obviously, but if I launch hard, I might also burst. So, you know, just to kind of play devil's advocate there, I really could go either way, but I still want to do a few more tests before I make a decision one way or another. Just to test another kind of cone-shaped Drive S on, now I can finally free up my Anubion. We'll use that. And we'll use heavy. Because we'll use heavy because we can. So let's see how that does. And for what it's worth, I believe that Revolve does lose to this combo. All right, yeah. I'm not super concerned about Zone Dash plus Hasbro Z right now. It's definitely competitive. It's definitely top tier. And like you said, Blade Kid, I do think, again, we got another click. I'll have to test this against some actual attack. I do think that there's the potential to be kind of problematic down the line. But I think this is something where I'd kind of want to wait and see how the meta evolves around it first. Let's jump into a little attack though. And we know that we've gotten a couple 1-clicks here, but can we do any better? Okay, that was literally a 1-hit burst. That was pretty awesome. I wonder if we switch to Knuckle, if that might make my I2 any more burst resistant. Let's try that out. Yeah, honestly, I2's kind of second tier. I like using it because it's fun, but it definitely doesn't hit as hard as V2. Which is why I'm going to test V2 now. It does have slightly better burst resistance, though, so take that for what it's worth. One click. I'm really starting to think that this is another one of those things where it's just only going to burst if it makes its opponent burst, which it seems like a lot of these dash drivers are. They're not unburstable. It seems like a lot of these dash drivers are. They're not unburstable. They just only burst when their opponents burst. So there's that. Let's try that fun ultimate reboot combo again. I wish Hasbro Attack had burst resist. Hasbro, yeah, I mean, Hasbro Attack just has never been really competitive, in my opinion. I just, I own a lot of Hasbro because I feel like you need it in order to be competitive, but I would use it more for its burst resistance in stamina than I would use it for attack. I think the issue with Hasbro is the quality control. Like, attack has as much burst resistance as stamina does. Which is a lot for stamina, but definitely not enough for attack. All right, I don't know about that one, Chief. Let's do a more angled launch. 2 clicks, and oh, hello. A more angled launch. 2 clicks, and oh, hello. There we go. We got 2 clicks. Probably could end up being a double burst again, if I had to guess. Oh, there we go. There we go. 3 clicks on Valkyrie and a burst on. Let's, for the sake of it, do another test with Crazy. Oh my god, I literally have 3 V2s here. Or sorry, V1s. Which one is slightly more? No, I'm gonna put it on heavy. Over it just to get medium launch there and hard launch. I don't think it's going to hit hard enough to get a burst, but I would be very impressed if it did. 0 clicks. All right, so I think the key to this is either to use Orbit or a good kind of this semi-aggressive mobile attacker. Something that's going to give it multiple hits. I put an Ion, but I'm so far than Yard Dash. Yes, and only 1 remain. That's not true. We do. I mean, it depends on whether or not I actually want to test high extend. Plus, I feel like let's get that wedge dash up in here. All right, wedge dash. So let me reference my Blade Kid notes here. Wedge dash doesn't have a non-dash broken counterpart things, and it also has the added benefit of not bursting. So its high recoil might lead to it being really hard to combat as attack, and you might even lead to the attacker bursting other things, but he says Drigger S is sort of, oh, hey, there are multiple people, but it says there's only 1 in chat. Interesting. Yeah, so he says that they're like semi-stationary burst attacker, which I think is what people want from what I'm hearing. So that's a thing. Let's start off by switching it up a little bit. And this time I'm gonna use A2, knuckle intended combo. But just rest. Ride upon the $500 dragon's back. Wow. So, just to kind of round off those stamina tests to beat this, just given that it has slightly better life after death and that. All right, so for once, it's good to see that our wedge combo does actually hit. Given that a Nubion is going to be a little better, let's real quick run 1 test of these 2. Depending on how that goes, then run a tiny bit of attack. All right. Pretty much a tie. Let's try that one more time. I've also been informed that the connection is unstable. I'm just looking at my computer right now. It says that it's reconnecting. So I'm going to assume that the reason that the chat is kind of dead is just because of that, unfortunately, and hopefully get a little bit of feedback after the fact. All right. So once again, we see that A2 does emerge a winner. This is definitely a little bit more problematic in my mind than Yard Dash, especially just given that it's beating a lot of these stamina matchups that I wouldn't expect a normal wedge to win. Given that you can kind of just launch it as hard as you want and you don't have to worry about it bursting. I'm gonna do a little KO attack, see what happens there, or just kind of speak to high extent plus. But I feel like there's been enough commentary on that specifically, and from what we've seen, it's definitely a little bit more concerning. KO attacker and see what happens there. Woo! All right, we got a nice clean KO. I think one of the benefits we got 3 clicks and 2 clicks. One of the benefits of this driver specifically is that it's a very, not sure of the word. It's not very mobile. it's very stationary. There we go. It's really not going to move around a whole lot, which makes it a prime target for KO attack. I think, to play devil's advocate, one of the benefits of allowing this in meta game is that we're going to really. That being said, I still have my concerns. Let's run this 1 or 2 more times and see what happens. All right. We were not able to get a KO, and we got 2 clicks on both. Might have to take back what I said about KO attack. I'm gonna relaunch that. Oh my God. Okay. That's pretty ridiculous. So Anubis A2 just KO'd V2. Got 2 clicks on it. V2 got 3 clicks on it. I think overall we can say that Wedge Dash probably needs to go. So just to summarize, like I said, I think I'm going to save H2 for a separate video. I think this video has been certainly long enough. What I will say, just because we know a little bit more about in the game for a little bit longer, we can say that it's pretty dominant. It's something that we see being more viable on specific layers. And I think because of that, it has been a little bit less of a current concern for some folks. The other piece is that, at least for the time being, I haven't heard really any concerns about high extend plus necessarily outclassing certain drivers, but that's something that I would want to look into a little bit more. Based off of the testing that we did today, I really have the most concerns about Wedge Dash and Has Kick. whatever. I think whatever you put on the bottom is probably fine. I think it would just be has kick that we end up banning, if at all. These two in particular, just because their potency against attack and stamina, I think that's really where I start to have some concerns, is when a certain driver is able to really cut out a large chunk of the meta and kind of breaks the mold in terms of the traditional stamina driver matchups that we see and that are so important to Classic. I have less concerns about Zone Dash plus Hasbro Z. It's definitely top tier. It's definitely something that we're going to see replace Revolve over time. I'm really not sure that Revolve, maybe I know that once we get Revolve Dash, there might be more of a place in the meta, but I think overall this is just better stamina-wise. Not even speaking for burst resistance. I don't think either are particularly burst prone right now, even prior to the release of Revolve Dash. And honestly, I'm kind of excited to see how Yard Dash performs in the meta. I think it's really interesting, and I think it has a lot of potential to be used on semi-mobile, but really more stationary attackers. I know that a lot of people have expressed an interest in seeing that. So, we'll see what happens, but this is something that I definitely think has the potential to benefit the metagame. Now, before I go, I just remembered that I did promise JA Industries that I would do a couple quick tests with Wave Dash. Again, Wave Dash isn't something that's really been talked about in terms of parts that we might need to ban. I'm speaking as I try to find it in my deck. I might actually have put it away because I never really saw any use for it. But from what he's told me, it definitely has some potential, and I think he wants to see a few tests on that as well. So let's see. I might. Oh, there we go. Found it. What's your opinion on Rise? I don't really have much of an opinion on Rise, honestly. All right. Just to real quick, he said specifically he was interested in High Extend Plus and Wave Dash. Wave Dash 1 and D2 on Gravity or Heavy. We're going to test on Heavy because really that's where we've seen the most success. I'm going to test on Neptune because I have 2 Neptunes and I can run some mirror matches there and really just start to see, is it problematic as a stamina driver? And then if we establish that it is, that's what we want. I'm really going to try to run the gamut of as many tests as I can in just a couple of minutes because I know it's been a long video and I'm ready to take a break, and I'm sure all of you, and by all of you, I mean you 1 or 2 viewers are as well. All right. We do see that, a very optimized Revolve combo has the potential to win. We get 1 click. 0 clicks as expected. Let's run same exact combo, just swapping that out for an Orbit Metal, recognizing again that Orbit Metal sometimes has a little bit worse stamina than Orbit, but it can have a little bit more defense, I think. I kind of like the mobility as well. Yeah, Wave Dash just looks kind of goofy. I think that's part of what it is. Oh my god. All right, this is wild. This is absolutely bonkers. All right, so it does beat Orbit. Let's run that. A Nubian Wave Dash is a bit underwhelming when I fought it, but I mean if you used A2 plus kick, I don't really know what that says for it. I'm gonna grab that Heavy. I'm gonna throw on. We've seen some success with Survive S. I know I'm like speed running a Beyblade test right now. Yeah, whenever I have some concerns about stamina Beyblade types, my instinct is really just to go with Liner S and Survive S. They're so underrated. I don't know why people don't use them. They've always been my go-tos, and you know, if anything beats them, it should probably be it. Oh my God! All right, that was a burst. Let's run that one more time, folks. All right, this has the potential to be terrifying. I think the last thing that I want to test before we close out is, and you know, I do want to do a couple KO tests, but before I do that, the last thing that I want to test is going to be that trigger on revolve. If you know, this could either be equally competitive to that or completely outclass it. Neptune did win by just a hair. Wow, this is pretty concerning, folks. Okay. We see no clicks on either. You know, I think what makes this kind of interesting is, in many ways, this is surprisingly competitive, and it could at the same time also be a similar combo to something like Drigger S, which has existed for several years, and it really kind of breaks the mold in terms of what we think of as a traditional classic type. You know, it's one of those layers that was released pretty late. It's something that you can really slap onto one of these new revolve molds, and it's not going to burst. And if you launch it hard enough, it's also going to outspin things. I think in some ways, just reflecting on the dialogue and some of the arguments that people have made, I could really see this kind of combo potentially being problematic under the framework of things that don't burst and have too good stamina, and you know, could be problematic. But at the same time, it doesn't use any of the new releases. In many ways, I sort of see something like, I don't know, a heavy wave dash, run it up against some traditional classic stuff. I have some concerns, but then when I factor in something like Has Kick, kind of being present in the same meta, something like heavy high extend plus dash, it definitely seems as though there's an opportunity for the meta to be defined. I wonder too if, you know, once we start to get some of these higher drivers, do we start to see low driver matchups? Do we start to actually see some height matchups? And you know, do we start to see a little bit more mobile attack? I'll run one test, but I'd be curious. You know, I said earlier that I was really interested in V2 on something like, and I definitely want to see if that's still an opportunity with this driver. I guess I'm kind of torn right now. I could go one of two ways. On one hand, I'm really interested in seeing the kind of matchups that arise from this type of meta. I don't necessarily think that it removes anything from the game. I think actually, as a counterpoint, one of the things that I've noticed about all of these drivers, just looking back, and I guess even High Extend Plus, is that a lot of them are fairly stationary, which presents a little bit more opportunity for KO attack than something like an Orbit or a Staller. Trying not to launch too hard because I don't want it to make it look like I'm trying to burst it, but at the same time, I am a little worried about the outspin. So if it does lose by outspin, I'll probably launch a little harder. Okay, let's launch that a little bit harder. No clicks, but always some potential.
I think we also see the same sort of thing that we saw with Hasbro Kick, where it gets easily destabilized. I think that's maybe one of the ways that you can counter it again. So we'll see. You know, I guess if I had to do a really high level synopsis, and I know I kind of ran one before, if we were to ban things off the bat, I would say ban. Oh man, you either ban everything or you ban nothing, because a lot of these things really do. And by ban everything, I mean, of course, not Yard Bash, my beloved, as the kids like to say. But really, like, either you ban everything here or you don't ban anything at all. A lot of these things are kind of holding each other in check. If I had to guess, these two will kind of see similar usage. Oh my God, hello. At the same time, you know, you've got something like Wedge Dash that I think on its own could be really problematic, but with the existence of some of these other drivers, there are definitely some fascinating matchups here. I guess coming out of this, I'm really excited for the next Burst Classic tournament. I really hope that we have an opportunity to test some of these things out, and I would highly encourage anyone who believes that we shouldn't ban some of these parts to try to run some things that don't include these drivers and see how they do. Try running some orbit combos and see if they burst. If you're comfortable even